Hey friends, welcome back to John Went Walking. Following up with you from my surgeon's appointment today. I wanted to follow up and let you know it was worrying me a lot because the bump that I had prior to the surgery, it seemed to me like it had come back, and it seemed to me like the bulge was back where it had been before. And it's really been it's been worrying me for a couple of days because I knew I hadn't lifted anything, so I felt like it was impossible that I strained anything. And the longest that I've walked has probably been 45 minutes to an hour, but nothing uphill, nothing out of the ordinary. I didn't fall down, nothing like that. So I've really been treating it very gently and trying to be very safe with it. So I was really hopeful that I wanted to not hurt it in any way. So I got there, and like I said, I was a little bit worried because there was a bump back in the belly button area where the surgery had been, and I was afraid that the hernia had come back. And so when the surgeon came in and looked at it, he said, not to worry, it's just fluid under the skin. It's normal. Maybe one of the stitches had popped out. It was possible, and it was leaking fluid under the skin. But the hernia, there was no hernia there. You're going to be okay. So that was great news. So he took out a syringe and put it into that bubble where the hernia had been in the past, and he drew out a bunch of fluid with this needle. He showed me he had pulled out fluid out with a needle, and it was like bloody pussy type stuff. It was from it was leaking out from under the skin, from the wound area, but it was under the skin. It was normal, and so it was an incredible relief because I don't wish anybody to have to go through surgery. If you've been through hernia surgery, and I've been through a total hip replacement, so I know what surgeries are like, and I know how they can feel, and I don't want to have to go through that. I didn't want to have to go through that again. So far I'm on track. I'm 2 weeks and a day out from the surgery, post-surgery. He gave me another follow-up for 2 weeks, which is good. So I'll go back in and check back in with him in a couple of more weeks. And in the meantime, he showed me how to pack it really tight, gave me everything I need to pack it. After my showers in the evenings, you're just kind of shoving the gauze down in there pretty hard, and then taping it down, and then I cover it with a 4x3 gauze so nothing can leak into the bed sheets or anything like that. So we're all on track. Everything's good. I'm just so grateful. I was really very worried about it because I've never been through this before, and then I got this bad habit of watching everything on YouTube. I hear all these stories on YouTube about how somebody's hernia popped back out and they have to go back in, and then they go in over and over and over again and it never gets fixed. And I was just like, oh man, I bet that's going to be me. And we've all just got more important things that we'd like to do, but it does kind of go to show you, we're always just on the edge. Anything can happen at any time. We should never take our health for granted because you just never know what's going to happen. That's why, today, if you're watching this and you're probably much younger than me. I'm at 63. So if you're younger than me and you're watching this, enjoy your health while you have it. Get out, do what you want to do, enjoy your life, do things that you really want to do. Push yourself a little bit. I just was watching when I was sitting there in the waiting room, waiting for the surgeon to come out and check me. I was reading this story about this young lady who's getting ready to make a fastest known attempt, FKA, on the Florida Trail, and I forget her name. I apologize. I'll look it up and mention it in another video, but I found her on Facebook, and that way now I can follow her attempt and watch what she's doing. It's not what I'm doing. She's doing the fastest known attempt. Mine might end up being the slowest known attempt, SKA. I don't know if there is such a thing, but if there is, that would probably belong to me. It's funny. I was looking back. I mentioned Celebration Marathon back in 17 when I was talking about my brother-in-law Mike. Michael, who had given me all my hiking gear, and a lot of it's still very, very usable. You know, he had nice equipment that he had out on the AT, and much of it's still very usable. But I was, you know, thinking back to January of 17, and I had done the Celebration Marathon right prior to that, and you know, I was one of the very final finishers, and I never had a problem with that. I always kind of enjoyed getting out there, starting near the back of the pack, and then just working my way through. Now, over the years, I have finished 86 marathons and about another 35 ultra marathons, including a 100-miler. But I've always been a kind of a back of the pack runner. I've just never been competitive with anybody but myself, and I'm kind of going into this attempt with the same mindset. I'm going into it with, John, you know, it's no hurry to get this thing done. I'm going to have everything else off the side burners, which is why, like, the hernia was worrying me a little bit, even though it's a year out. Like, I don't want anything like crazy going on that I can't control. I want to kind of do everything I can to be healthy and prepared. But, you know, I'm going to go out slow. I'm going to go out very, very slowly, take my time through the cypress swamp down there, whatever it is. I just want to keep moving forward. I don't want to have to worry about being somewhere at a certain time or anything like that. If I can always find a place to go to sleep, to camp. I know it's wet out there and all that stuff, but I spent lots of times in the woods in my life and outside. I can worry about that later. Like, I can find a place to go to sleep. Like, at some point you get so tired you just go to sleep. It's all right. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to quit on myself. And I think you got to go into it with that mindset. You got to go into it with, I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. You know, if there's one thing I learned in my whole, adult life, and I've gotten to, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of, really complete a lot of good goals that I've had set for myself. And one thing I've learned is, as long as I don't quit, as long as I don't give up on myself, I'm most likely going to finish it. And I'm not just talking about athletically. I'm talking about academically, like completing degrees, doing having your job, with what you do for your employment, as a professional, whatever you do. The main thing is that you just don't quit, that you don't give up. And I'm talking about you don't give up on yourself, So that's why I would encourage everyone, if you're watching this, I know it's just a handful of us, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm doing this as much for myself to see where I came from and where I'm going, as to, I'm having a little bit of trouble in the Florida traffic. You guys would never believe it, but Florida is like full of people right now this time of the year. We have a lot of snowbirds, a lot of people out on the road, so I know I shouldn't be, I'm really paying attention to the traffic and everything. I'm sitting here waiting, but so I would just encourage you to never give up on whatever your dreams are, and set goals for yourself, because the time's going to go by. Like, you could say to yourself, I'm going to go ahead and finish that doctoral degree. It's going to take me 4 or 5 years, but I'm going to set my goal and do it, because whether or not you start taking those classes, you start making plans, you start organizing, you start making goals, whether or not you set those goals and then you follow through, the years are going to go by either way. So I could sit here this year and not worry at all, not talk about the trail, not talk about what I'm thinking, but either way the time's going to go by. So why not make a plan, get myself prepared to execute that plan, and then when the time comes, just to actually get out there and do it, and it's kind of, I've mentioned it before on this video, like, the Florida Trail is just one step along the way. Like, for me, the Big Kahuna is the Appalachian Trail, and so I still, that's in my not too distant future. I mean, I know I don't have a ton of time left. I think realistically, get out there by the age of 65 or so to give myself the best chance physically. But I'm going to just keep working. I'm just going to keep moving it forward and keep trying. I'm never going to give up on my goals, whatever they are. And it's going to be that way until they lay me down, until I pass. So I wish all the same for you. I'm so grateful that you're here watching me. I'm so happy to bring you the good news that my hernia does seem to be healing. My hernia seems to be healing, and that I just needed to get some fluid drained off of it, and I'm still on track, and I'll follow up with my surgeon in 2 more weeks. But man, I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful that it's fine so far. So I wish every single one of you the best this day after Christmas in Central Florida. We got a nice warm day down here, beautiful sunny outside. I'm gonna get my little walk in here this evening. Thank you every single one for hanging in there with me and watching, and I will be talking to you real soon. You all have a great day, friends.